Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here with us this morning. My name is Shelby, and I am your moderator for the webinar today. Just a few quick announcements. We will have a short survey that will pop up at the end of the talk today. We ask that you please take just a minute of your time to fill that out for us. Also, while the poll is up, I will make sure that the CCA credit will be available for anyone who needs it. And just a reminder, feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation. We're more than happy to answer them for you. We have one speaker today, and that is Paul Johnson. He is our SDSU Extension Weed Program Coordinator. Paul got his BS and MS in agronomy and his BS in general agriculture from SDSU. He has been an agronomist at South Dakota State University for 25 plus years and the agronomy center manager for 5. And today, Paul will be talking about sunflower weed control thoughts. So with that, take it away, Paul.
Well, good morning, everybody, and glad to see you on board. I'm kind of a pinch hitter this morning. One of our staff has resigned and was going to do this program. So bear with me as we go through this, and feel free to make sure you ask questions. We're probably not going to go the full hour today, but we sure can do it with questions and things that way. I'll try and get my slides up here, and we will. Okay, there, I think we're kind of ready to go. So change the title a little bit, Sunflower Weed Control Thoughts. I guess if I look at my history, I'm originally from the northeast corner of South Dakota, and late 60s, sunflowers started to come down from places up north. And so I was involved with growing sunflowers at a very early age. I kind of feel like the old guy in this system. Sunflowers came into the state and over time have evolved and moved further west to the central part of the state because of their drought tolerance, and also because soybeans have moved across the state, and now we see sunflowers and soybeans mixed together. Also, in my part of the state, we had quite a few rocks, and so it took longer for soybeans to come into that area because of combine problems and things like that, and dealing with those rocks. And now with the land rollers, that problem isn't near as bad. So a few sunflower facts, I guess. Commercial sunflowers, like I say, have been growing in South Dakota since the late 60s. When they first come in, sunflowers were mainly paradobics. They didn't have no disease resistance. They weren't hybrids, and worked fine for the first few years. But once you start growing them, they become, you start having more problems, and you need more advanced bred up lines. Sunflower head size, very dependent on seeding rate. And, it really is kind of cool to have those big sunflower heads out there. And you can go with some fairly low sunflower seeding rates and still get very good yielding sunflowers. However, those large heads do not dry down near as well. And so consequently, it does take longer for them to dry down and be able to be harvested in the fall. Oil type sunflowers are the main ones growing. There are some confectionery ones in the state, but I would say 95% are oil type or higher. So some of the weed control programs. And this is real important because sunflowers is very limited on the chemicals available. Need a cup of coffee here. My throat's a little sore. So just bear with me. Select fields that do not have weeds that can't be controlled in sunflowers. Very important because, like I said, especially post-emergence, it's very limited on weed control, and even pre-emergence, we don't have a big selection for control. Have all weeds controlled at planting time. I think this is very important. We need to do that burn down and make sure, especially like with Kochia, that we don't have any plants that are growing when we plant those sunflowers. Have a pre-emergence program working for, excuse me, weeds germinating at planting time. You know, ideally, a lot of our producers further west put their pre on early or early pre-plant with it. So they make sure they have the moisture to get that pre-activated. So when they are at planting time, it is already working and we don't have any weed escapes. If post-emergence is needed, make sure the product selected works on the weeds. And that's very important. Lastly, there is no good post program for amaranth, whether that's palmer, water hemp, pigweed, any of those in that amaranth species are very tough to control in sunflowers. And to be honest, where we see palmer the most is in sunflower fields because the palmer isn't being controlled. We don't necessarily see palmer in great big plants in sunflower fields, but unless there's an open area. But after the pre wears off, we will see some smaller ones come in late August, early September, and those then will maybe get 3 feet tall or so, and but can reinfest. And the only way to take those out is literally to hand rogue them. If we look at the state of South Dakota presently, we have Palmer amaranth in 14 counties. We added Pennington this year, and it was in a sunflower field. I'm guessing a custom combiner, probably wheat last year, came in, and it was right by the approach where he would enter the field. Had probably came from Nebraska up and hadn't cleaned out the combine good enough. Last year, or in 2020, we added Brown County. There we had some millet seed that was being planted on prevented plant acres, and it was contaminated with palmer. In 2020, South Dakota developed that all amaranth species, if it is in seed, palmer is considered a prohibited weed in seed, or basically like a noxious weed post-emergence, but the seed isn't allowed in there. And so if there's any amaranth in a seed lot, it has to be tested and genetically tested to make sure there isn't palmer in it. If it is, it can't be sold in South Dakota. And so that would have been Brown County. Also in 2020, we had a spot in a soybean field in Yankton County. And again, this area was right by the approach. I'm guessing may have come in manure. And, you know, I know it didn't happen in this case, but we have a real problem going on up in North Dakota, where there is a company that is bringing sunflower screenings from Kansas and selling them up north. We had one spot in South Dakota we know that happened, and we're watching very closely to make sure we don't have Palmer there. But we need to watch those types of things too. The rest of the counties have had Palmer in a spot for a few years, and we're not seeing it spreading big time. In fact, if we go back to some of these sites, we can't find any Palmer where they've been doing good practices. It doesn't seem to overwinter and live a long time in South Dakota. And so that's good. So that's kind of the latest on Palmer. And that to me is the second worst weed to deal with in sunflowers. To me, the worst weed to deal with in sunflowers is one like this. And what's wrong with this? Well, this is a 160-acre field that has volunteer sunflowers about solid. When I come across this one, I couldn't believe it. You know, probably had pretty good seed production there for volunteer sunflowers if anybody needs to collect that. But definitely wouldn't be able to put sunflowers in that location. So we need to know the weeds we've got. And so let's look at some of the weed control programs, some of the things we have did at SDSU over the years. Here we're looking at yellow foxtail, common landscorder, and red root pigweed. We put a prowl down. You know, we got in the 60 range, little weak on moisture to get her activated. Spartan, again, Spartan we know isn't real good on foxtail species, better on lamb's quarter and pigweed. Spartan Charge, again, very weak on foxtail, better on common lamb's quarter and red root pigweed. Prowl with Spartan Charge. We're coming up a little bit more on the grass here, and but lower rate of Spartan Charge, so not quite as good there. Prowl with Spartan, we can see that helped out on the grass and the common lamb's quarter, but a little bit weak on the red root pigweed. And then we had a broad axe in here, did really pretty good, upper 70s, in the 70s, but a little weak on the pigweed. And dual, we can see overall our best on yellow foxtail, but kind of weak on common lamb's quarter and red root pigweed. And if we put a prowl dual together, good grass control, but weak on two broadleaves. So that's kind of, that's one of the tests we looked at. And, you know, in dry conditions, these were put pre-emergence. These weren't put out ahead of time to get them activated. Okay, here another test. Here we've got yellow foxtail, common ragweed, and Pennsylvania smartweed. Zidua looked real good across the board. Zidua with Spartan. We see a little lower Zidua rate and low Spartan rate, and actually overall a little poorer weed control. Prowl with Zidua, again, looks really pretty good here, but the straight Zidua probably was a little better. Prowl with Spartan. Again, not looking bad, but down a little bit in our control there, even though the prowl rate was up at that higher rate, 3-pint rate, or no, 2-pint rate there. Dual Spartan, we can see again, looks really pretty good. And so in that study, overall, it looks like Zidua, and Zidua is one of the newer things in sunflowers, looked as good as anything. However, you need about 1 inch of moisture to get Zidua activated. Okay, Kochia control. Now, we're looking at here, we have Authority Supreme. It would have been put out at the early date of 5/8, and Kochia control, you know, good in end of May, but we can see we had some late moisture and it had dropped off by the end of July. Same way with Spartan Charge, Spartan Elite, and Zidua. Now here, the Spartan or the treatments were put down right ahead of planting, and we can see only 40% control the end of July, and we can see how they're a little bit less than if they were put down earlier ahead of time. And so consequently, why we like that to go down early and stay. And the thing about it is, we look at this, none of them are what we call real clean. The thing about sunflowers is, as long as you got that early weed control, sunflowers will get up and going, and once they're ahead of the weed, they will outcompete them, and even with quite a bit weeds in them, still produce a good crop. So another test for sunflowers. Here we're looking at sulfentrazone products, Shutdown, Blanket, Spartan, Moccasin 2+. Comparison now going into some of the others, and we can see how that really did good. We can see all the sulfentrazone products roughly in the same ballpark there. Broadax looked a little better, and then Moccasin plus a sulfentrazone, it just kind of went along and helped out on the yellow foxtail, but really wasn't much better than the sulfentrazone product. Also had a study just to compare sulfentrazones. Spartan, low rate, high rate. Blanket, low rate, high rate. And Shutdown, low rate, high rate. Just different types of sulfentrazone. You know, Spartan, the original one we can look at, and here are a couple generics, basically are showing pretty much the same weed control out there when we run the stats on them. Okay, one we did this year, and I put a comment on there, what's old is new. This product we dealt with back in the 90s, and it's coming back. It was in soybeans originally, and now it is coming back in sunflowers, but also with the resistance, it's being looked at again in soybeans. It doesn't have a name anymore, Sorry about the phone there, but I got no way to unplug that. And so let's look at them a little bit. We have the product at 1 3/4 pint. No crop injury. Yellow foxtail real dry this year at Northeast. Yellow foxtail very weak. Red root pigweed. However, we're in the 80s. We go up in rate. We don't see that much of an increase. Sorry, can't talk. And we go to Spartan at 6 ounces, and we see yellow foxtail and red root pigweed there. And so consequently, we can see versus that high rate of Spartan, it's doing pretty much the same on weed control. If we add the low rate with Spartan, we didn't really up it any. However, if we went up to the 2 pint and the 6 ounces of Spartan, we did see an increase then in weed control. Authority Supreme, another one just to compare to. And again, we can see a little bit less than the combo together. The other thing that's looked at a lot of times is burn down ahead of time and some of the products that can be used. I know there's a look at Fluroxypyr for burn down in sunflowers. We did some work on it. Here is where it would have been 7 days ahead of planting. And we're just basically looking at visual crop injury on here. We can see the early rating showing, but later on in the season, it didn't. When we got up to that higher rate, yes, we had injury throughout the season. And we go to real high rate or double label or double what they were looking at for a label. And we can see definitely a lot of injury. And that's why it keeps it from coming out as much. A couple other things, Elevore at 1 ounce and 2 ounces. And then 4 ounces, we can see that early injury is pretty severe. Pixaro at the low rate and the high rate, injury throughout the season. And we go the real high rate on Pixaro, and we can see, yeah, it just too much injury there. And we can see our LSD was 5 on each one of those. Now, that was it where we put it out a week ahead of time. When we put it out at planting time, we can see here the injury does go up a little bit. And so consequently, you know, we wouldn't want to go. But even 7 days ahead of time seemed like it wasn't far enough out. And we look at Elevore the same way. Pixaro also just too much injury there to be satisfied with it. We also looked at another crop of sunflowers for tolerance. We looked at Dichorprop, or better known in the turf market as MCPP. This is an old product that's coming back, has excellent Kochia control, and has really no sunflower control. But what we were trying to determine is it safe to go ahead of sunflowers? And what we found out is 14 days ahead, kind of the lower rate, had quite a bit of injury, and it's a growth regulator, so that injury held throughout. If we put it on 7 days ahead, it was worse. 3 days ahead, even worse yet. Looked at early post 2,4-D just to have a comparison, because again, this is a new product to be looked at that way, so we had no idea. Obviously, the 2,4-D took it totally out. the MCP pretty much took it out post. Also with Express, we can see that it was by far too much, but the straight Express showed a little bit of injury there, but not enough to affect. And this was Express sunflowers. Victory, another product, an Express lookalike, had about the same injury. And so that's where that came out. That was kind of my thoughts for this morning. And but we sure would like to answer your questions. And I see we have some in the chat. So Shelby, I'll turn it back to you and we can do the polls and we can deal with questions.
All right, that sounds great. I will pull that up for everyone. And then Paul, if you want to stop screen sharing, I'll go ahead and throw mine up. All right, and if while people are maybe thinking of questions, I'll just mention that we have the upcoming Agronomy Winter Roadshow. The first one will be this Friday in Aberdeen. It'll be at the American from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It'll cover weeds, climate outlook, soil fertility, cover crops, diseases, and markets. So we hope to see you there. And I will provide a link for that as well.
Yeah, I think we still got plenty of room, so we can see you tomorrow if you come up to Aberdeen.
All right, well, if no one has any questions, then we can call it. We hope to see you next week when we'll start off our week covering wheat. So have a great day.